I'm 37. I'm maxing out my 401k match and Roth IRA. I made a foolish mistake in my IRA a few years back on some meme stocks. What is your best advice to recover that loss? High yield dividend? High risk index? What do you think?
Man, okay. This is one, Dave, thank you so much for this question.
This is one of those mental biases that we do to ourselves.
This is so great because we live in a world right now where there's so much stuff going on between crazy crypto opportunities and meme coins that like go up overnight and disappear. And I think a lot of people in their situation where, man, I jumped on this thing that I thought I was going to be able to do. It was going to be this amazing thing, and it turned out to not quite be what the brochure said. And because of that, now I'm behind. Now I've got to make up for lost ground. Now I've got to fill in the blank. Well, what happens is, and we see this all the time, people get in their minds, okay, I made this really bad decision that ended me up in this place. I have to go to the other extreme and I have to hit a home run. I struck out for this last at bat, so now I have to hit a home run. That's the wrong mindset. What I would think through, Dave, at 37, you are not an old person. You are still young and you have tons of time on your side. What I want you to do is take that decision that you made inside your IRA with that meme stock, and I want you to bottle it up. And I want you to constantly remind yourself, man, maybe I don't know everything there is to know about investing, and maybe I don't have to make it a whole lot harder than it has to be. And maybe the tried and true and boring and consistent way of building wealth actually works. So rather than trying to go back in time and make up for that mistake that I made, why don't I allow that to be a payment I made for an education I received? And now moving forward, I'm going to stay diligent and do the things I'm supposed to do. I'm going to follow the financial order of operations. I'm going to save 25% of my gross income. I'm going to keep my expenses low. I'm going to live off less than I make. I'm going to be consistent and measured in how I make my financial decisions. I'm not going to be emotional. I'm not going to jump on the hot dot. I'm not going to chase the latest fad. I'm going to do what I know works. I'm going to do that over a long period of time. And if I can do that starting at 37, I still have tons of opportunity to overcome past mistakes. I mean, we saw that with Patrick and Megan. They had a huge quote unquote mistake or misstep, and yet here they are 20 years in the future in a fantastic position, even having made that mistake.
That was on our premiere episode of Making a Millionaire. Dave, my thought, I wrote this down. You have a gambler's mentality versus an investor's mentality. And what I mean by that is if you've ever been to a casino with somebody, and there's strategies out there. Like one of the key ones out there with blackjack is if you're playing blackjack and you lose your first bet, just double what you bet.
Keep on doubling. Keep
doubling. You lose the second one, double it up again, and eventually you're going to get back to where you were. And I feel like that's where your mentality is, Dave. Is you've fallen astray by chasing the hot dot, chasing these products or things that are the things that are out there in the zeitgeist right now for how you make your money speculating. And you've been burned by it because, by the way, that's the way most of these things work. And instead of kind of taking that as an expensive education, you got that gambler's mentality and you say, well, that's all right. I'll just double down and I'll do it on the next one. Mm-hmm. No, full stop. You've got to educate yourself and say, I'm not a gambler. I need to go for things that give me a high probability. Instead of being the victim of the house, why don't I actually join the house and actually go with this ever-expanding economy where you see all this innovation, you see all this technology, you see this economy that keeps growing and expanding, and give yourself a huge probability of success. That's what an investor does. And and that was the second thing I wrote down is just quit digging. The hole that you're trying to get yourself out of is probably already deep enough by doing these crazy behaviors. I mean, it drives me crazy what's going on with these meme coins right now.
Nutty.
And I'm like, who's in these things? Because I haven't even sniffed around this stuff to understand how it works, because I'm like, it just feels like boom bust. And you're just hoping. Yep. It's no different than pyramid schemes or, chain letters or other things where you're just hoping that you're not the victim of it. You're hoping you get on the good side of it. That's horrible. These pump and dump type things and speculative plays, that's not where I've seen wealth. I have yet to have somebody come through our threshold of becoming a client that says, you know how I made all my money? Was by doing these crazy speculative things.
I'm a meme coin millionaire.
Yeah, I mean, look, Carter will come down the hall and be like, "Did you see on the chain somebody took $2,000 and turned it into $50 million?" Mm-hmm. I'm like, yeah, there probably ought to be an investigation on who that person is and how they're on the inside that they get to. Because that money was only funded through the losses of somebody else. It's not like the innovation. It's not like the products got better. It's not like there was a dividend or an interest payment that justified the increase. It was just because some poor sucker piled in at the worst time and paid a price that the value was disconnected from. And then they got left holding the bag. Don't fall prey to all these schemes and other things that are out there in the world. Realize, be grounded in making money off this ever-expanding economy. That's why we love index funds. Yeah, they're not as sexy, but you're not going to be crying in your beer and be really sad about where your life is because you got stuck in this horrible situation.